She went to FAMU
So
and
stay tuned, y'all. Today we will be talking
oh,
about the most creative name I've heard in a while, Planned Parenthood. So we're live right now. What they do, I am the dope black lawyer, aka Josh Jones ESQ, and this is Law and Hip Hop, the number one place to get legal news and advice that impacts black people and black culture from a black lawyer. So what we do here every week is we break down some of the top stories that people are discussing online, and we make sure that people know what's really going on because there's so much information out there that's just bad, just terrible, 100% incorrect. And we make sure that we deliver it in a way that is relatable to us. So I promise you, I'm nothing like any of these other lawyers you've seen. You already see me right now with my t shirt. I'm not suited and booted. We do that when we go to court, but otherwise, we're chilling. So welcome to Law and Hip Hop. Let us know right now where you're watching from. As always, we're live from the 305, and I want to know where you're watching from. If it's all right, so if it's your first time, I also want to say welcome to you. And if you've been here before, I want you to say that you're an OG. Let us know as well whether you're watching live or if you're watching the replay. So um, I don't want to hold you too long. I want to kind of get right to it. We've had stories like this in the past. Usually, it's from a the perspective of a man who's complaining about having to pay spousal support. But this week, Faith Evans is in the news. Her divorce from Stevie J is final, and she has agreed to pay him spousal support. Um, we don't know a lot about their income, but we can assume that she has more income, more assets than Stevie J. Otherwise, she probably would not be paying him. But if you don't know, obviously, almost everybody knows Faith Evans. She was one of the top R&B recording artists from the '90s, married to one of the greatest rappers of all time, Notorious B.I.G. And while they were both signed to Bad Boy, Stevie J was one of the producers for Bad Boy. He was on Diddy's team of producers that they had at that time, and I don't know. I'm assuming they probably didn't have anything going on back then, but at some point they, people kind of became actually familiar with Stevie J, not from back then, unless you were like really a hip hop head, but people became familiar with him because he was so damn goofy on Law and Hip Hop when it first came. Dang, I always do that. Love and Hip Hop when it first came out. So he was dating a girl, Jocelyn, who's become kind of famous on her own. She had her strip club reality show as well. She's been on other reality shows, and they had their little romance thing going on. I didn't really watch it, but just being on Twitter, you kind of would hear about it. And yeah, he just seemed like a total goofball. But for some reason, Faith Evans, she married him, was her third husband. He had been married as well, I think, to Jocelyn. I'm not really 100% sure, but both of them had been married. And she decided that she wanted to get a divorce. He was begging her to stay. And then he deleted his social media messages, but obviously that didn't work. He had a car that he had stolen from her as well, and he had to return the car, and now the divorce is final. So best of luck to both of them. What's the lesson here? If you're not equally bagged, it may be wise to have a prenup to protect your premarital assets. All right. I ain't saying that he's a gold digger, you know what I'm saying, but he knew who he was messing with. He knew that there was an opportunity for him to kind of come up as well. So, you know, he is. I don't know how long she's going to pay spousal support for. He seems to kind of still be working, so it's kind of a weird thing. They didn't have any kids, so there's no child support. But um, nevertheless, wish both of them the best of luck. Also in divorce news, Tia Mowry, Corey Hardwick's divorce also looks like it's finalized. They have co-parenting rules in place. They were married for 14 years. Tia announced last year that they were going to get divorced, and they have two kids, cute kids, Kree and Cairo, and they have they have some rules they put in place regarding how their kids are going to interact with whoever their respective significant others are. So neither party can introduce a significant other to the kids without first introducing them to the other ex-spouse. It needs to be at least 6 months of a relationship before the kids can meet them. And during that 6 month time, while the kids are on the premises, that significant other cannot spend the night. So, Corey Hardrick said he didn't cheat. They say that they're still cool, but those rules, for ground rules, they don't sound unreasonable. I mean, you don't want people around your kids who you don't know, who might not be around for long. So I could kind of understand that. Luckily, they were able to work that out, and it didn't get too ugly. Wish both of them the best, and hopefully their kids are not impacted too negatively from the divorce. So yeah, so that's that. So good luck to Tia, good luck to Corey and their family. Out in Georgia, I want to transition. Um, we always got a scammer, right? So this young lady, her name is Kayrika Wortham, and she was an operations manager for Amazon, and she had almost $10 million worth of fraud that allowed for her to buy a Lamborghini and a mansion with her girlfriend. So while working at Amazon, she would create fake invoices and get approval for payments, and these payments were going directly to her. She did this along with 5 or 6 other people who also worked at Amazon. Altogether, they got about 9.4 million that the government is aware of, and they found 2.7 million in bank accounts that she had. Plus, they found in the cars and all that stuff. So, along with her girlfriend, everybody involved was getting arrested, and it's just really, really stupid, right? To be out here working for, first of all, committing crimes with other people, right? If you're going to commit a crime, the best way to make sure that it goes the way that you want is to not have anybody who could snitch on you. So that was her first mistake. Then thinking that you're going to work for Amazon, and Amazon's not going to have systems in place to be able to catch and detect fraud is insane in itself. And then, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe she already had Lamborghinis and mansions, but assuming she did not, all of a sudden showing up on the scene with a Lamborghini, a mansion, and all types of fancy jewelry, clothes, and things like that is a dead giveaway, if you ask me. So, you know, usually by the time the feds bring the case, they have overwhelming evidence against you. Probably some of the people who um, participated in the crime with her are also going to be willing to testify against her. And if she is convicted, hopefully she comes out and she can take this creative mind that she apparently has and start a business or do something that is legitimate, that can create that same type of revenue for her, because it's just as easy to start a legitimate business as it is to do something that is illegal. So yeah. So next story, I kind of led with it. So Planned Parenthood. All right. So that name, first of all, is phenomenal. Uh, Planned Parenthood. So just to kind of give an idea, they're referring to Moms for Liberty, which is a Florida-based conservative group that has ties to the top Republican uh, candidates, especially Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. They had a convention in Philadelphia, and there were protests outside. So this group has organized boycotts of books that have for years been part of the literary canon in American literature, and read by kids in schools all over the country. And they've gotten a lot of these books banned just because they don't really like them. Some of them are old books that have been around. Some of them are new books that are just talking about Black Lives Matter or written by LGBTQ people, whatever the case. They just threw a bunch of books on a list, and schools are getting those books out of here. So they started the group protesting anti-COVID restrictions in schools. So all of this is code. It's kind of giving you an idea. So they're they're very, very, very anti. They antagonize the school board members, and they're taking over elections. They've got 270 candidates who they've endorsed, and a lot of people have said that they are associated with the Proud Boys and also quote Hitler. So if you remember the Proud Boys, they're some of the people who were called out for the January 6th, I don't know, I guess you call it rebellion at the Capitol or at, yeah. So um, people on Twitter have been calling them things like Mary KKK, the minivan Taliban, and Klan Parenthood. So you know how Black Twitter is. Black Twitter goes crazy when anything like this comes out. But like we've already said, all of these nicknames are hilarious. But the red flag is anytime you see people when they're talking about freedom, liberty, justice, American values, you got to kind of give them the side eye. You have to kind of think about it. Is this really about about liberty, justice, American values, or is this about um, infringing on other people's liberty, justice, and opportunity to have American values? So, like I already said, it's pretty serious. A lot of times, right these days, people are kind of like, "Why should I vote?" Voting is kind of um, not moving the needle for me right now. But while that may be true or may seem to be true, in this day and age right now that we're living in, these people are not just looking to keep things from not progressing, they're looking to have things regress and go back. So any way that we can, we need to all be out here trying to block these things from happening, because it's not positive. All right. So I mean, some of the books that they banned, one is called Baseball Saved My Life. What could a book called Baseball Saved My Life really be about that's so bad? One is called Anti-Racist Baby. So I think most people would agree that racism is bad. So anti-racism is not bad, right? We're saying that we are basically the opposite of racism, and they don't want that message to get out. Obviously, if you don't want to read Anti-Racist Baby, you just don't read it. But why have the book banned so that those people who want to be informed in that way or learn about those things are unable to do so, as well as other books like Brave New World of Mice and Men, which I personally have never read, have no interest in ever reading. Um, they're just some old books that some white dudes wrote a long time ago that people should be able to read if they want to. And right now, that's not the case. So um, be very leery of groups like the Klan Parenthood, Moms for Justice, or Moms for Liberty, whatever the hell they're calling themselves. Uh, and in the same vein, this crazy old white lady is saying, well, first of all, she's a retired historian and professor. Her name is Lois Banner. And she was speaking at a conference, and she says she wishes that she would have been black because she believes it would have made her professional life easier. How, Sway? So she spoke right after a black historian named Deborah Gray White, who had given an impassioned speech about black female academics being closed out of the white closed out of the world of white women scholars. So the old lady, she doubled down. She said, "You won't change my mind. I'm 84." The speaker who came after her said that yes, came out and also spoke out forcefully against Lois Banner, who also says that she wished she was a member of the historically marginalized race, but also that she was a lesbian because she was envious. So obviously, she cannot be a black woman, but if she wishes to be a lesbian so bad, she could do that. that's in the cards for her if she wants that, right? 84 years old will not have any effect on her being a lesbian if she wants to. But obviously, she is either completely racist, prejudiced, or she's maybe losing her mind. But she's totally disregarding the struggles of Black women in particular all across the world for the last 500 or so years, right? I mean, what has been easy about being a Black woman in this country for the entire time that Black women have been in this country? I can't think of one thing. The fact that the thing that she's saying she's so envious of is the fact that Black women have kind of coalesced and come together because of all of the struggles, the pain, the backlash from society and everything that they faced for all these years. So I don't really know what she's talking about. I don't think she really knows what she's talking about, but it's really dangerous for someone who is thought to be a professor, a historian, to come out and say these things, because there's so many people who only see the headlines, who only see the sound bites, who will see it or hear it and automatically think that what they heard must be true, because otherwise they would not hear it. They only get their information from YouTube, which we're on YouTube right now. But, obviously it's important to kind of get information from other places as well. And she has the ability to impact what they think. And then you end up with people like the Planned Parenthood who aren't fully informed and then rush out to make change for things that don't really need to be changed and create more mess than we've already had. So it's a very dangerous time. But luckily there are people who were there to speak out against what she said, and it didn't go unchecked. Just like in Detroit, where we talked about this already, but this officer was charged on Monday for federal civil rights crime for punching a young Black man in the face and slamming his head into the ground. So there was a criminal complaint against Matthew Rodriguez that was unsealed in federal court by U.S. Attorney Dawn Eisen. The young man, Jaquan Smith, was being processed at the Warren Police Station on June 13th after he was arrested on a warrant for multiple felonies. So we watched the video before. You could see that Rodriguez and Jaquan were exchanging words before the officer, knocked him out, basically. Punched him to the ground, choked him out, and other officers just sat there and watched. So luckily the charges were brought, but we got to stay vigilant and patrol the police. And we got to say thank God for the cameras, because the only way that we ever see justice in these types of situations is when there are cameras that catch our public servants, I guess is what they're supposed to be, that show them committing these brutal crimes against citizens. So just because Jaquan was being processed for, felonies, obviously everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Does not mean that he should have been a victim of a crime like that. And even if he was already convicted, no officer, correctional officer, police officer, or any other officer should put their hands on an inmate like that. All right. So now we've gotten to where we're talking about the injustices, but I think, I forgot we have the video. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to play the video again, just so for those of you who didn't see.
Excitement? You knew I was an officer. You knew I was an officer. You knew I was an officer. This is an ego trip for you. Because I told her. I asked her to come talk to me. When I told her as an officer, she should have de-escalated the whole situation.
So this is not the same video, but it's all right.
Because she don't need to worry about me shooting her.
Yeah, so that's the wrong video, but that's okay.
Oh, well, I might as well get it all out my chest. I'm arrested. Can I ask you?
Yeah, it's all good. We're gonna move
I want to
on.
ask you a question about your house. How do you want me to secure it? Nigga, fuck,
Yeah, we're just gonna move on. That's not the right video, but we all saw the video from the last time, and we'll post it in the show notes as well if you're interested in seeing it again. But the officer definitely went crazy on the young man. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about something that a lot of people know about now, but it came into prominence a lot in the last few years. But Black Wall Street, Tulsa massacre survivors. There's 3 people who are known to be survivors. And it's interesting, 2 of them are brother and sister, but they're 109, 108, and 102. And this actually happened 102 years ago. So one of them was a literal baby when this happened. But they're appealing a judge's decision to dismiss their case for reparations. Last year, the judge allowed for their case to continue. Now she's dismissed it. And these 3 individuals are still going to appeal the judge's decision. So the judge, Carolyn Wall, the lady at the bottom of the screen, is the judge for the lawsuit filed by Leslie Benningfield Randall, who's 108, Viola Fletcher, who's 109, and Hughes Van Ellis, who is Viola's younger brother, who's 102. So this battle's been going on for years. It's regarding the city of Tulsa and other officials who have had opportunities, who have benefited from the massacre, and these people have lost opportunities because of the massacre. So we're going to go to the next slide. So if you don't know about the Tulsa massacre, basically this is kind of a timeline. So on June 1st, so first of all, the Greenwood district was known as Black Wall Street. Okay. So there were about 10,000 people. There were thriving businesses, banks, you name it, on Black Wall Street. These people were doing very well for themselves. All right. So on May 13th in 1921, a young black man was accused of assaulting a 17-year-old white girl. On June 1st, a couple of weeks later, a white mob gathered where he was being held, and shots were fired and the black residents were attacked. For the next 2 days, white rioters looted and burned the businesses, while the National Guard was slow to respond. They estimate that 35 to 300 people were killed, and thousands were left homeless, and the businesses were destroyed, and the community was essentially never the same. People were moved out to other parts of Tulsa, and it was never really rebuilt. It was kind of like a secret until 1997. So it wasn't even really known about by the public, outside of probably, I'm sure people in Tulsa knew about it, but it wasn't really talked about that much until it was recognized officially in 97. And even then, I would say like in the last 10 years, you've heard a lot of people talking about Black Wall Street, Black Wall Street, Black Wall Street. So the public awareness is amazing. So just to talk a little bit more, their attorney, Demario Solomon Simmons, said he was surprised that the judge dismissed the suit because last year she said it could move forward. And he believes that they're simply saying that they don't care about what happened to the people of Tulsa. So just to kind of talk about what the lawsuit was about, the lawsuit was about the plaintiffs arguing that the damage inflicted upon the black citizens of Tulsa, primarily at this point the 3 named plaintiffs, was a public nuisance, and they sought to recover for unjust enrichment that other people gained because of the exploitation of the massacre. So a public nuisance is when people or a corporation or the government unreasonably interfere with the right that someone has with public spaces. So this part of Tulsa was public, and Demario Solomon Simmons said our public nuisance law here in Oklahoma is much more specific and more on point for our particular issue. It deals with if something interfered with someone's right to property, the use of their property, or destroyed or commits a crime by doing that. The Tulsa race massacre meets that definition 100%. So their property was destroyed because of this massacre. So that would be a public nuisance, according to DeMario. And unjust enrichment occurs when one party confers a benefit upon another party without the original party getting anything in exchange. Like, for example, when you go to the store and you pay for something, you're giving a benefit to the store by paying them for whatever it is that you bought, and you're getting something out of it because you're actually getting the thing that you bought. If they took your money and did not provide you with the item that you purchased, then they would be getting something for nothing, and that would be considered unjust enrichment for that store. So the city of Tulsa asked for the suit to be dismissed, arguing that simply being connected to a historical event does not provide a person with unlimited rights to seek compensation from any project in any way related to that historical event. So another thing that was left out is now, after the city of Tulsa allowed for this massacre to happen, they're building a museum, they're building memorials, and they're doing things where they're going to charge people to be able to come in, and they're going to make money from the massacre that was inflicted upon the people of Tulsa, the black people in the Greenwood district in Tulsa. So on the next slide, there are a couple of different places. So the first place that I learned about Black Wall Street was the book you see on the screen called Black Wall Street. And then there's two documentaries. There's others documentaries, but I just kind of highlighted a couple. So Hannibal B. Johnson wrote Black Wall Street, from the Renaissance. What does it say? From riot to Renaissance in Tulsa's historic Greenwood district. I read that maybe 2006 or 2007, and it was, very good book. But also, for those people who would rather watch a documentary or something like that, there's a Tulsa Burning, the 1921 race massacre, and then on history. And then there's Dreamland, the burning of Black Wall Street on CNN. And there's plenty of other things. I think there's even like fictional, like episodic shows about it. Not fictional, but told like not from a documentary standpoint, but they made an actual show out of it. So whatever your style is, you can kind of go back and you can watch it however you like. And we've already talked about him quite a bit, but this week our Dope Black Lawyer of the Week is DeMario Solomon Simmons. And he is a black lawyer. He's still continuing this fight. And he said that what they're doing, they 100% cannot do. They're being held to a higher burden, and they're going to continue fighting. And I like the term that he used for it. So he called it intergenerational racial trauma that black people are enduring day in and day out. So definitely commend him. He started an institute, the Greenwood Institute, as well, to kind of bring awareness and to also bring cases like this for the people of Tulsa. And I guess it's a coincidence, but he also is a member of the greatest fraternity on earth, Omega Psi Phi, like so many of our dope black lawyers. But we had Kappa on here one time as well, and other non NPHC lawyers who've been the DBL of the day. So, but we always love when the DBL of the day is the bruh. So let's get it to Mario. And before we get into the last story, a very sad story for the Florida story, we're just gonna kind of rewind and recap. So let's do it. Faith and Stevie J are divorced. She's gonna be paying him spousal support. Tia Mowry and Corey Hardrick have agreed that before either of them could introduce new partners to their children, that they need to meet them first, and the relationship needs to be at least 6 months old. Another person has been arrested for trying to commit fraud, trying to scam. I see it every day online. She was creating fake invoices and paying herself from her job at Amazon. Very easy to detect, but I see it all the time on Facebook where people are creating ID cards and fake pay stubs and advertising this on Facebook as if a Facebook group, a private Facebook group, is not discoverable by law enforcement. We've got where people were protesting Planned Parenthood when they came to Philadelphia, promoting their agenda. And we've got this old crazy white lady who said that she wishes she was a black woman because of how easy they've had it throughout the years, as well as she wishes she was a lesbian, and doubled down on it when she was corrected about it. And then we have Matthew Rodriguez, this officer who was arrested, federal charges brought against him for misconduct against Jaquan Smith, where he beat and choked him after Jaquan, and he had words while he was booking Jaquan. And then the story we just talked about, the judge who was over the lawsuit brought by the last 3 remaining survivors and victims of the Tulsa race massacre. The judge dismissed their lawsuit and they will be appealing. So, they're fighting till literally the end. They're 109, 108, and 102. And these are true life heroes. So now we've got one last story for What the Florida. And it involves a suspended Florida attorney who is not a dope black lawyer, as you can see. That's him in the blue jumpsuit. But he was already suspended for allegedly stealing $450,000 from his mother's trust fund. And now he is accused of murdering his father after his father's body was found inside of his law office. So the young man that you see, Brandon Labiner, is 34 years old. He was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. In footage, the suspect was driving around the area of the building around 2 p.m. And the same individual was riding to Paul Labiner's office on a bike an hour later, carrying a drawstring bag, according to the police report. He was seen removing a box containing a gun from the bag. He kept the gun close to the ground and paced around for 40 minutes before picking it up and waiting behind a wall. So then it says the second person appears and they get into a scuffle. Then out of view, the man with the gun runs away. So the police discovered a gun cleaning kit and a piece of paper with the attorney's name in a public restroom trash can before finding the drawstring backpack with a 9mm firearm magazine, multiple boxes of ammunition, a box for a gun, a gas can, a lighter, and gloves with a face mask in Brandon Labiner's car. So he's disputing the charges and says he is grieving his father's death, according to his criminal defense lawyer. And he's being held in jail. So this is sad, but man, hopefully his father gets justice for whoever caused the murder. But not to say that a black lawyer couldn't do this, but could not be a dope black lawyer and also do this simultaneously. So at this time, I want to say, if you need a dope black lawyer, holla at me. We'll get you right. If we can't personally help you, we do car accidents and injuries, but if we cannot help you, we know somebody who can. All you got to do is reach out to us. You can either hit us up in the DMs on any social media platform where we're a dope black lawyer. IG, Twitter, Threads, Facebook. So yeah, TikTok. We're also on TikTok. You can send an email to holla@dopeblackLawyer.com or audio message to speakpipe.com/dopeblackLawyer. And if you just have a question, if you have a topic you want us to talk about, if you need a lawyer, any of those places, if you hit us up, we'll get back with you and we'll make sure that you get connected with the lawyer that you need. And you know, we appreciate you for sticking around, you know, for this show. This is the end, but we'll be back next week, and we're also starting to put out more content on all those other platforms. So if you're not following us, whatever platform is your favorite, go ahead and follow us on that platform so you can get updates from us about when we're going to be going live, other topics that we don't necessarily have time to cover, and things of that nature. So I appreciate you for sticking with us. Don't forget, if you ever get hurt or the police pull you over, holla at your boy, the Dope Black Lawyer, Josh Jones ESQ, and I will holla at you next week.